The Nothing Phone 2A has been around for a while. It's a good phone. The sales have been great. Even I said that for about 25,000 rupees, this has to be the best phone that money can buy right now. But there's a saying, to be the best, you need to beat the best, right? Having said that, the OnePlus Nord CE4 has officially launched, and of course, the Nord CE line does not need any introduction. But for those who don't know, the Nord CE3 Lite and the Nord CE3 have been two of the top sellers in their respective price segments. So first up, for this battery drain test comparison video, here's a look at the key highlights of the latest Nord CE4 and the Nothing Phone 2A on your screens right now. Now look closely, both the phones are quite evenly matched, featuring 10-bit AMOLED displays with a 2160Hz PWM dimming for eye safety. Both phones have distinct design language, albeit the Phone 2A with its glyph interface definitely stands out. Now, the Nothing Phone doesn't have an IR blaster, while the Nord phone does not have a 12GB RAM option. However, the deciding factor between both phones could be the processor and battery capacity. Whereas the Phone 2A has a relatively large 5000 mAh battery unit paired with the Dimensity 7200 Pro chip, the Nord CE4 has an even larger 5500 mAh unit paired with the latest Snapdragon 7 Gen 3 SoC. So which of these two phones is the better one when it comes to performance and endurance? Well, that's what we are here to find out. Hello everyone, I'm here for Fiiber by India Today, and this is the battery drain test video comparison between the OnePlus Nord CE4 and the Nothing Phone 2A. Now let's get started. So as always, we kick off by booting up both devices. So while the Nothing Phone 2A was the first one to light up, it's a Nord CE4 that boots up a couple of seconds faster. So both phones on the table have light mode enabled and are connected to the same Wi-Fi. The brightness and audio are set at 50%. All the image and video enhancement settings are enabled. 120Hz mode is enabled. And of course, both the phones' batteries are 100% and discharged. Starting off with the YouTube video playback test, and right off the bat, let me tell you, both phones have nice and vibrant panels in the mid-range price category. In fact, in terms of how these displays output colors, I would say quite similar. But looking right now at how the Phone 2A is placed at an angle, you might think the Nord CE4 is brighter than the Nothing Phone 2A. Well, that's not the case, technically at least. You see, the Phone 2A supports 1300 nits peak and 1100 nits in high brightness mode, while the Nord CE4 supports 1100 nits peak and 900 nits in high brightness mode. But honestly speaking, like right now with this HDR video playing, with the HDR video enhancement settings enabled and with 50% brightness, for some reason, I find the Nord CE4's display a tad bit brighter, and I know from the camera's perspective it might look like the Phone 2A is a lot dimmer than the CE4, but that's not the case. But in reality, for content consumption, while the color reproduction of both displays is quite balanced and vibrant, when it comes to brightness, despite boasting lower nits, to my eyes, I found the Nord CE4 to be a tad bit brighter than the Phone 2A. The best part is that both of these phones offer flat displays. In fact, the one on the Nothing Phone 2A has symmetrical bezels all around. So, of course, it's a win-win situation when it comes to content consumption on both the smartphones. However, when it comes to the battery drain, it's not a win-win situation right now for the Nothing Phone 2A, because after 2 hours of YouTube video playback, the Nothing Phone 2A is trailing behind with 85% battery left, while the Nord CE4 is in the lead with 92% battery left. With that, it is now time to run an hour of 1080p video recording, and while both the phones are at it, here's a look at the camera specifications. The OnePlus Nord CE4 boasts a dual rear camera system featuring a 50-megapixel Sony LYT600 primary camera along with an 8-megapixel ultra-wide camera and a 16-megapixel snapper at the front for selfies. Video recording is capped at 4K 30fps from the rear camera and 1080p 30fps from the front camera. The Nothing Phone 2A, on the other hand, also has a dual rear camera setup comprising a 50-megapixel Samsung GN9 primary camera along with a 50-megapixel ultra-wide angle camera. For selfies, there's a 32-megapixel snapper at the front. Now, in terms of video recording, the rear camera is capped at 4K 30fps, just like the Nord CE4, while the front camera supports up to 1080p 60fps recording. Now, here are some of the comparison photos of the Nord CE4 and the Nothing Phone 2A side by side. Which phone do you think took the better shots, and would you be interested in watching a full-blown camera comparison? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments. For now, we are done with the 1080p video recording round, and in total 3 hours have passed in this test, and the Nord CE4 is still in the lead with 73% battery left, while the Nothing Phone 2a is now left with 66% battery. Alrighty, time to run some benchmarks to get an idea if both phones are put under heavy loads in the real world, which one is going to give the better endurance and perform better. First up, the specs. The OnePlus Nord CE4 has the latest Snapdragon 7 Gen 3 chip under the hood, coupled with up to 8GB LPDDR4X RAM and up to 256GB UFS 3.1 storage. The Nothing Phone 2a, on the other hand, is powered by the custom MediaTek Dimensity 7200 Pro chipset, coupled with up to 12GB LPDDR4X RAM and up to 256GB of UFS 2.2 storage. Starting with Geekbench 6, while the single core score of both phones is more or less the same, it is in the multi-core performance where the Nord CE4 scores about 25% more than the Nothing Phone 2a, suggesting that taxing CPU tasks should be handled better on the Nord phone. And the two scores also suggest that not only is the Snapdragon 7 Gen 3 better when it comes to CPU related things, but even when it comes to GPU related tasks. Just look at the difference here, guys. However, in the 3D Mark stress test, I have to give it to both phones with exceptional stability scores of 98% and 99% respectively. But then again, the Nord CE4 once again blazes past the Phone 2a with superior average loop scores. Lastly, in the CPU throttle test, it was the Nothing Phone 2a which finally redeemed itself with a 94% score versus Nord CE4's 77% score, proving that despite all the torture in the 3 previous benchmarks, which chipset can handle the load consistently without a throttling. So here are the benchmark scores of both phones on your screens right now. You can pause and take a look. So a little over 4 hours have passed up until now in this test, and the Nord CE4 is of course in the lead still with 56% battery left, while the Phone 2a is now left with 47% battery. But I think the Nothing Phone 2a is holding up pretty fine. I mean, this phone here has a 500 mAh smaller battery than the Nord CE4. So I think the performance is quite good on the Phone 2a. Now let's go ahead. Alright, let's talk a bit more about performance as it is time for the gaming round now. So I have used the Nothing Phone 2a longer than the Nord CE4. In fact, I recently made a gaming test video of the Phone 2a as well, and I was quite impressed with it. So while I haven't used the Nord CE4 as extensively as the Phone 2a, Cyrus has reviewed the phone. You can check out his video, and based on our findings, honestly, it is very tough to choose one phone that is superior for gaming. You see, both phones are very good when it comes to thermal management, so no issues there. But beyond the thermals, I would say despite the extra raw prowess of the Snapdragon 7 Gen 3, I think the Dimensity 7200 Pro is the better chipset right now because it is better optimized right now. So whereas the Nord CE4 only supports up to 60 FPS in BGMI and Call of Duty Mobile, the Nothing Phone 2a supports 60 FPS in BGMI and 90 FPS in Call of Duty Mobile. Of course, in the real world, you can expect more or less the same kind of gaming performance from both, but for now, if Call of Duty Mobile is a preference for you, go for the Nothing Phone 2a. Okay, for now, a little over 5 hours have passed in the testing. We are just done with the gaming round. Next up is the social media round, and right now the Nord CE4 is still in the lead with 45% battery left, while the Phone 2a is now left with 36% battery. With that, we are in the last leg of our battery drain test comparison. I will now run an hour of Instagram on both smartphones here, but without keeping you waiting until the last minute, I am going to fast forward to the 6-hour mark, and with that, the OnePlus Nord CE4 finishes with 37% battery left, while the Nothing Phone 2a finishes with 26% battery left. Here's an hour-by-hour breakdown of the battery drain of both phones on your screens right now. So if you look at the chart, you might think that the Nord CE4 is left with 37% battery, while the Phone 2a is left with 26% battery. So naturally, the Nord CE4 has better endurance, right? Well, not exactly. Now, don't get me wrong, while the Nord CE4 performed exceptionally well, in fact, the Nord CE4 was quite efficient in the video playback round by a long shot, but we shouldn't forget that the Nord CE4 also has a 500 mAh bigger battery than the Nothing Phone 2a. So when you see this final chart and you see this number that while the Nord CE4 drained about 3500 mAh battery, and the Phone 2a drained about 3700 mAh battery. Just know, if the Phone 2a also had a 5500 mAh battery just like the Nord, it would have also ended up with at least 33% battery left based on these scores. Rest assured, which among these two phones should you choose? Well, that's quite a difficult choice. I would say if endurance is strictly a preference, then there's no denying that the Nord CE4 with its large 5500 mAh battery gets advantage when it comes to sheer longevity in terms of endurance. However, if you are someone who is leaning towards the quirkier looking Nothing Phone 2a, be rest assured the 5000 mAh battery paired with Nothing OS 2.5 and the Dimensity 7200 Pro chipset gives you one of the best endurance on any mid-range phone right now. Rest, what do you guys think about this battery drain test comparison between the Nord CE4 and the Nothing Phone 2a? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below, and I will catch you all in the next video. Till then, take care of yourself and thank you for watching.